Hi there, Soul Line Self Care. What's up? I forgot to pull up Instagram. I guess I'm not going live on Instagram. Hey guys, how are you? I feel like I haven't been on in a while, even though it's only been a week. So, today, or I should say this week's topic that I've been talking about is a combination of a couple of things. So the self-care challenge was about loving yourself, and I know it's a weird challenge. It's about looking in the mirror and saying I love myself or I love you or whatever feels natural to you, and might not feel natural at first, might feel really super weird, but it's very powerful and it's very effective for a lot of people. And I believe, I don't know if it was started, this practice was started by Louise Hay. I don't know, but I read about it in her book and I read about it in so many other books, and I use this with my clients and I use this for myself. And so I thought it's a really quick, easy thing that you could do every morning that really benefits you. And so I've been talking about that topic this week, but also this week's blog was about a recent health scare that I had that was very scary. And this is the second, it was very real to me at first as a life-threatening health scare, although now, after being tested for a million different things, I've learned that my life is not in danger, so this is good. I'm pulling up my notes. I'm sorry, I should have did this beforehand. Sorry. Hold on a minute. Anyway, I like using my notes because I always forget to talk about something, right? I always forget. All right, there we go. So, anyway, those of you who really tune in with me often know my story about how when I was 39, I had a stroke. And so this health scare taught me a really good lesson that I learned at a young age. And that was that even though it may seem like you're doing all the right things, like I was in the best shape of my life, I was eating pretty well, I was not balanced. I was very unbalanced, as a matter of fact, and I was actually not very healthy. I may have seemed healthy on the outside, but I was not. I was under an extreme amount of stress for years. And going through my divorce and the whole process of starting over and then being a single mom and then starting a new career, all those things put together with a lot of other extenuating circumstances, was too much for me personally. And so I had the stroke, and I learned that while my heart health and everything, my cardiovascular health, everything was very healthy, I still had this vertebral dissection that tore the inside lining of my artery and caused me to have the stroke. And the doctors chalked it up as, oh, it must have been an injury. It must have been an injury. And but I had no, like, a car accident would cause something like this. Sometimes chiropractic adjustments can cause this. It's very common with that, actually, but I had never been to a chiropractor. So I chalked it up as extreme stress for a really long time, and it was never acknowledged as that by my doctors, because I don't think doctors really kind of think on that wavelength. So then fast forward to today, right? So I have stuff going on in my life. I have, I'm going to be 55 years old this year, and so I'm going through some of those hormonal changes that women my age go through, and so I have that going on. Not too bad at all, actually. But that's going on, and that can cause anxiety in your body. It could also cause different hormonal fluctuations that also exaggerate that anxiety. And I'm already an anxious person, all right? So I'm already a ball of anxiety, and this is why I teach what I teach. I teach people to reduce stress and anxiety and overwhelm, and to avoid burnout, because that's what I did to myself, and I'm pretty damn good at it. And I thought I was really doing a good job with myself, but the past couple of years have been like, a dumpster fire, right? So I look back on that, and I look at some of the circumstances in my life, and then I look at, my physical circumstances with my hormones and stuff like that. And this is creating a recipe for some extreme anxiety in the body, but it's not showing up on the surface. I don't feel anxious. I really don't, right? But I'm having like these little panic attacks so often, and I started having panic attacks in 2020, right? Wonder why. And I was able to bring that under control, but recently that's been not the case. And the panic attacks are at the weirdest times, like in the middle of the night or when I first wake up in the morning, and nothing's happening to me. So there's no reason for me to be panicking. There's nothing that's triggering this. So this feeling of anxiety is in my body. So anyway, that's the background. So now the story, a couple of weeks ago, probably the end of December, beginning of January, I started having these headaches. I never get headaches. I feel pretty good most of the time. So I was like, this must be my sinuses. So I went to the doctor. I got some medicine for my sinuses. I felt a little bit better, but I was still getting those headaches sometimes. And I'm like, this isn't right. I'm not used to getting headaches. I have no reason to get a headache. And I was like, maybe it's my hormones. And my hormones were pretty wacky at the time. So I was like, it must be my hormones. So I kind of like pushed this aside for a couple of weeks. And then I just couldn't take it anymore. I'm just like, because I never get headaches, I have a very low tolerance. There's not a lot of medicine I could take for it because I'm allergic to a lot of stuff. So I really had to just like stop. I couldn't like go on with my day and take an Advil, right? Or a Tylenol. I had to stop, lay down, do different practices to get rid of it. Sometimes have a cup of coffee, whatever. Okay. So then one day, of course it was a Friday, because the best time to learn about some kind of a health emergency is on a Friday, right? It's the best time because then you have to sit through the whole weekend and wait. So this caused more anxiety, of course. I decided to take my blood pressure because I'm like, maybe it's my blood pressure, right? I don't know. And it was, right? My blood pressure was crazy freaking high. It was like 165 over one something, right? So I'm like, holy shit balls, right? So I was just like, I can't believe this. So I continued to take my blood pressure all weekend and continuing to spiral into a state of anxiety and panic because I feel like I'm going to die. I did have a stroke once. I did have a tear in my artery. So this is making me really, really anxious with good reason, right? But this was making me being anxious just made it worse and worse and worse. I go to the doctor Monday. My blood pressure is still high. So she decides to do an EKG and it comes up back abnormal, right? I don't know if I've ever had an EKG before. I assume so because I was in the hospital when I had a stroke, but I don't know. So I don't know if I have a baseline for that. I was never told I have a regular EKG or whatever. So anyway, she sends me to a cardiologist and he decides my blood pressure is still high at this point, obviously, right? More anxiety, right? I have to say though, I was pretty lucky. Like I went to the doctor on Monday. She got me into the cardiologist on Thursday. That's like unheard of today because our healthcare system is a dumpster fire. So I feel like the universe was on my side here. I got in on Thursday. The doctor was wonderful. He was absolutely wonderful and very thorough and talked to me for a long time. So I really had a surprising good experience. And he decided to do every fucking test, every test. All right, so I'm lined up for a stress test, an echocardiogram. He's sending me home with a heart monitor. This has like increased my anxiety level to like an all new level. Like I'm like, what? I have to walk around with a heart monitor for a week, 24/7. You can only take it off to shower. I was like, what the fuck, right? So anyway, I go home with this little suitcase heart monitor. And all these tests are lined up along with lots of blood tests. They're testing everything. I had a basic blood test from my doctor. Everything came back normal there. So anyway, he wants me to schedule the stress test. And I'm like, okay. So the stress test is 2 weeks out. I'm like, oh my God. Now this isn't too bad. We all know this, right? But I'm like, oh my God, I thought it was going to be that week because he made me drive to the city. My doctor was in Oneonta, and then I had to drive all the way in the other direction to Albany because he thought it would be quicker. He wanted it done quickly, told me not to run, was scaring the shit out of me. He wasn't trying to. I think he was being cautious because of my history, right? So anyway, long story short, okay, let's just talk about the stress test, okay? I'm sure there's plenty of people on here that have had a stress test. Now, this just wasn't a regular stress test. This was a nuclear stress test. And I believe that this name alone causes more stress for people that don't need stress at all. These are already people that don't need stress. They don't need the ominous name of nuclear stress test hanging over like their heads, right? So, and then if you read the description of they're gonna like shoot radioactive shit into your bloodstream and you're gonna go into this tube thing. I swear, I think they were trying to kill me. I really did. But anyway, I'm alive. I made it through. I told the doctor I think they should change the name of the stress test to heart health study. Actually, there's even a room where I got the test that said stress test room. So I went into like the stress room to take my stress test. And I love how they talk about either you pass or you fail. You fail. Like, no, you should just get your results. You should just get your results. You don't pass or fail, right? So this whole thing needs to be redesigned. The place where you go to have this test, right? It was they need to play like spa music. They need to be like spraying eucalyptus and mint into the air like you're at a spa. Play like spa music, right? And they should have like a little library in the waiting room, because most of that test, for those of you who have taken it, know is spent sitting in the waiting room. Like you get an injection, you sit in the waiting room. You go have a picture taken, you sit in the waiting. You're sitting in the waiting room, and I didn't know this, and I was bored as fuck, and my phone was going dead, so I couldn't even like listen to a book or whatever. So anyway, that's my discrepancy with the stress test. But anyway, long story short, everything is normal. I'm in really good health, no signs of heart disease or arteries clogging or any of that. My echo looked good. All the other tests he took to test, other heart stuff. I had to look everything up, but I did figure it out. Everything was good, normal. Like all my numbers were really normal. And can I tell you, when this first happened, I was pissed. I started out being pissed because ever since I had my stroke when I was 39, I've worked really, really freaking hard to keep myself healthy. I do a lot, right? I don't make myself miserable. I have fun. I can have a glass of wine, some Jack Daniels, that's my favorite drink. I can have that. I can have cupcakes and sugar and chocolate, and I do all that stuff, and I drink coffee, and I'm not perfect, but I do a lot to take care of myself. I make all my own food. I don't really eat processed food a lot. I grow my own food. I exercise. I practice self-care so that I'm not stressed out, I thought. But I do. I do yoga almost every day. I take really good care of myself. So I was pissed. At first I felt like my body was betraying me. I was like, isn't this a bunch of bullshit? I mean, we've all heard of people who've done everything right. At least we think they're doing everything right. We think we are, right? For their whole lives. And then they get cancer, or they have a heart attack, or they just drop dead, right? So this is how I'm feeling. I'm feeling like I'm going to drop dead any day now. And I'm like, and that sucks because I'm not done yet. I don't feel like I'm done yet, right? So anyway, you do stuff like clean out your drawers so after you die, people don't find the weird shit that you have, right? You do all those kind of things. I've done this before when I had my stroke. Like, I'm like, all right, let me clean this shit up so I don't embarrass my kids, right? So they don't find anything weird. Burn my journals, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I didn't burn my journals because I still had faith that I was going to survive. So I'm pretty dramatic, as you can see. So anyway, I felt betrayed, but after talking to a few friends and acquaintances, very intelligent people, I realized that it was really just my body protecting me and communicating with me, because when something like that happens, the high blood pressure, that was my body saying, whoa, you need to change something, right? I don't know what that is. I still don't know what that is, but you need to change something. And so my body is pretty dramatic, just like I am, right? So, and it always has been. Like, even when I was little, like if I eat anything like excessively, like I loved watermelon when I was little, I would just eat watermelon, eat watermelon, eat watermelon. And then my body responded by going into like some kind of allergic reaction where my joints swelled and I was uncomfortable and I had all this fluid in my joints. And then the doctors thought I had rheumatoid arthritis. And this was a pattern, though, I saw throughout my life. Like, I learned to make this really good shrimp dish when I was in my 30s, and I loved it, and I made it every week. And then I ate the leftovers, and it was delicious. And then I was allergic to shrimp. I had a really bad reaction to shrimp. Am I really allergic to shrimp? No, because I ate an egg roll with shrimp sometime after that, and nothing happened. Right? So I don't think I'm really allergic. I think my body is just very dramatic. It really is. I'm stressed out. I can't just have like high blood pressure. I have to have a stroke at 39. Right now I'm dealing with anxiety trapped like in my body. It's not like completely in my head. It's in my body. And so this is going to be another health scare. Pay attention, right? So maybe I'm lucky that I have this dramatic body of mine, right? And this recently happened with coconut too. Like I went through like this putting coconut oil in my coffee. By the way, that is so freaking good. Like you put coconut oil in your coffee and then you blend it in a blender and it's so creamy and so delicious. Highly recommend it. So good. But anyway, that and then coconut oil on my skin and then coconut milk when I'm cooking and coconut and then more coconut and then allergic reaction where my whole face swells up and my tongue swells up and I have to go on steroids. Like, so, like, my body is so freaking dramatic. And so, anyway, moving on, I realized that this was a gift. All right. My body is telling me and I'm hearing it, right? I'm not going to ignore it. I put it off maybe for a couple of weeks because I thought it might be other things because it wasn't too dramatic, but it turned out that I have to listen, right? So here I am. Let me look at my notes and see if I'm paying attention to anything. Oh, so I asked myself this question. I wrote this down because I was like, I wrote this in my blog too. Am I so used to the way anxiety feels in my body that I don't even realize that I'm anxious anymore? That was the question I was asking myself because I was like, I don't feel anxious. Why am I having panic attacks in the middle of the night? Like, so what's going on with my body? Another thing is I look at this as a lesson. Like, what can I learn from this? Why is this happening for me? Not why is this happening to me as a victim? Why is this happening for me? It's trying to tell me something. Because, and I always say this, the universe tries to teach you a lesson. And if you don't learn it the first time, it's going to keep coming back to you. So you're going to keep learning the lesson. And I kind of compare it to like dating, when you keep dating the same man over and over again, and you're like, universe, why are you sending me this prototype of man? It's not for me. This is a lesson I need to learn. It's something I need to learn. Like, so it's showing me the same thing over and over until I learn the lesson. So I obviously didn't completely learn the lesson. I thought the lesson was, you know, even when you think you're doing something right, you know, you think you're doing all the right things to support your health and wellness, you might not be doing all those things right. Okay. But the message really here is, how can I put myself first, which is so aligned with what I'm talking about in my business right now, helping my clients deal with the same kind of thing. How can I put myself first in order to put the best version of myself into the world? And that's looking at all the different areas of my life, which also teach in my business. You know, you're looking at your relationships, not your health, so your fitness and what you're eating, but also your stress levels, your self-care. What does your self-care look like? You know, and are you dealing with, you know, any of the emotional hangups that you have, like any kind of relationship problems or anything? Like, are you dealing with this, or you're just kind of like pushing it down? And so you have to look at yourself on a whole and then keep and pay attention and tune in. And what a lot of us do is we're not paying attention and tuning in enough. And so I obviously need to think of this in a different way. And one of the things that the doctor had said to me, I think I said earlier, was that I shouldn't run right now. Let's just see what happens. Let's see what's going on first. And running is a big part of my life. A lot of you know that. And running helps me de-stress. It really does. But in a certain way, running helps me release anger. Like if I'm angry, running helps me reduce stress in my head. You know, like maybe I'm working too much, or maybe somebody pissed me off, or something's agitating me in the world, this crazy world that we live in. I'm going to go for a run. And I always used to joke around and say to my friends, if you see me go for a 10-mile run, I'm fucking pissed. Something's wrong, right? There's a reason I'm going for a 10-mile run. It makes me feel better, right? But what I didn't realize is that while this reduces my head stress, this reduces my anger, it causes stress inside of my body. When you're running, you're going into fight or flight, you know, so this is intense exercise, especially when you're running a long distance. So I'm creating stress in my body. And so I need to rethink. That's what I mean by change my perspective about what is healthy for me. And I'm not saying I'm going to stop running. I'm just going to say I need to balance that with other things. So I do yoga, right? I need to really balance that. I need to maybe meditate more. Maybe I don't need to go on 10-mile runs. Maybe just do a 3-mile run and then come home and do some yoga. I need to get centered in my body and reduce the stress from my body, not just my mind. And so this is the lesson that I'm going to take away from this so far. And so what I've decided to do is go deep into all these different practices again. Now I have many practices I use personally right now in my business and in my personal life to reduce stress and anxiety. And I'm going to go just a little bit deeper and learn more. And so what I did was I created a plan and a stress and anxiety reduction plan. And I just wrote some stuff out, and I'm just going to try to find as many modalities that you can use to reduce stress and anxiety. And then I'm going to learn more about reducing stress in the body, because you want to take yourself out of that fight or flight. And there's so many different ways to do that. And I came up with, let's see, I have an ongoing list. I can't remember. It's like I'm in the 30s. I'm into like 30 something practices. Actually, I'm into 40s, 46. I'm on number 46. And what I'm going to do is try some of these things I already do on a regular basis, but some of them I've never tried. And so I'm going to try these things, and I'm going to keep a spreadsheet. And as I said in my blog, I'm not doing the spreadsheet because I hate spreadsheets. So I'm going to have someone do it for me. But I'm going to keep all the data on my computer and written down in my notebook. I'm going to test these things out. I'm going to see what works, what doesn't work. And then I'm going to share it with you guys, right? So if you are a person who has a lot of stress and anxiety, like me, and you've struggled with this your whole life, then take this ride with me. Once a month, I'm going to update you guys onto what I'm doing. And this month, I'm looking into Qigong, I think I'm saying that correctly, and Tai Chi, all right? I'm trying to figure out the difference between the two and what I've learned so far, I think. And if anybody on here specializes in that, let me know. I would love to hear from you. But what I am getting is that Qigong is kind of a part of Tai Chi, and Tai Chi does a little bit more. So I just started looking into this morning. And so tonight I'm going to do my first Qigong practice. And then tomorrow I'm going to do Tai Chi. And then I'm probably going to buy a million books because that's what I do, right? And so I'm going to test this out because these movements, I believe, I was watching a video this morning, and I've studied energy medicine and I've taken a class on energy medicine. And a lot of the movements are very familiar from energy medicine. So I'm thinking that they're working with the meridians of your body. I'm not positive about that. And then I see some commonalities in yoga. And so I think it's really cool how all these things, energy medicine, Tai Chi, Qigong, maybe it's Qigong, right? And yoga, how these are all seem to be kind of connected. And so I love that. And so I'm going to dive into that for a month and see how it feels. And either I'm going to keep it around or I'm going to throw it out if it's not my thing. Now, just because it doesn't work for me doesn't mean it's not going to work for you. So I'm going to give my honest opinion on how I feel about it, because I'm an extremely impatient person when it comes to learning stuff. Like I just want to be like, learn it right away, get it done kind of thing. So I'll let you know. So if you want to join me on this little experiment, that I would love to have you. I'm just, like I said, I'm going to share once a month. I'm not going to be weekly doing this on my blog. I'm going to share a blog post once a month, and I'll share a live once a month talking more about it. Also, when I finish and I have this spreadsheet, I'm going to share it with you guys too. I'm going to share it with you. It's going to be the anxiety, what did I call it? I don't know, reduce anxiety, I think it's anxiety and stress reduction plan. And it's going to be something that I share with my community and I share with my clients, and for free. I'm not going to charge anything for this. And maybe at some point I can teach this. I have a class on this, but not only will this help me, but this will help my clients also, going deeper into what I teach already and learning more about it so that I can share that with you will be just so valuable. And it's really important for me to not only help myself, but also help other people so that they don't have to experience these health scares. So my dramatic self, my dramatic body, and my dramatic self that overreacts to everything can hopefully help you before you end up experiencing some kind of a scary health emergency or something like that. So I hope this was helpful to you. I'm obviously relieved. I have to still work on this. That my doctor seems to think that I shouldn't have to take blood pressure medicine if I can get my anxiety under control, which is I don't like taking pills. I always talk about how, yeah, I'm 55 years old. I'm actually 54 years old. I'm going to be 55 this year. And I don't take any medicine, I don't take any pills. This is really important to me. So when I had to take this blood pressure medicine, I was like kind of pissed, to be honest. I was really pissed. But there's a purpose for it. And if I can't get my anxiety under control, I have to take the medicine because having high blood pressure causes a lot of damage in your body. So I will take it. I will. And I'll be happy that it's there for me to take. I know people like my father, who's 83. He just turned 83. He's very functional and happy and physically capable person, has been taking blood pressure medicine for a really long time, and he seems to be fine. So I'll be grateful if at least that I have that if I need to take it. But it would be nice to be able to get off of it and be able to know for a fact that I'm controlling the anxiety that's in my body. Right? So 2 of the books that I'm going to read and I want to share with you is, I am already reading The Body Keeps the Score, which is about that energy, that alarm, that anxiety in your body. Now I started reading it and I didn't finish it, so I feel like I have to start it over. So I'm going to read that. And another book that a friend recommended is Anxiety RX, which I started reading, and Anxiety RX is a really, really good book. And the doctor that wrote it suffers from anxiety himself, and he is funny. I think he's a comedian, so it's like it's enjoyable to read. It's not just like a sciencey book that makes your brain hurt. Okay, so if you are serious about this and you have a problem similar to mine, I would recommend that you read these 2 books also, and I think they would be very beneficial. Let me just see if there's something else I wanted to say to you. I didn't use my notes, so I'm just kind of going over them. So yeah, so if there's one thing I could say to you, like the first lesson is to listen to your body. And if you have your body giving you some kind of signs, don't just medicate it. Figure out what it is. I had a friend say to me, well, Tina, you're getting old, and it's, everybody's on blood pressure medicine when they're old. Like, it's just a part of being old. And I'm, no, it's not. There's something wrong. High blood pressure is not normal. It's not normal. There's a reason for it. And I am the type of person that wants to know the reason. And a lot of doctors don't do this. I was very lucky to have a cardiologist that was like this too. He agreed with me. He thinks I could get off the medication. He believes I should track certain things. He also told me different practices that I could use to reduce my anxiety. So he wasn't just like, here's some drugs, take the drugs. He was being more of a functional cardiologist, which most people don't experience, right? I don't think a lot of people experience that. Okay, so that's that. So I'm choosing to feel lucky. I'm choosing to feel relieved. I am relieved. I'm very grateful for my health. I'm very grateful that all the things I've been doing for the past 10 years or so have been working. I'm very healthy. And I'm up for the challenge to learn more about how to reduce the anxiety in my body. So please join me. And if you're feeling inspired, send me a message and let me know if you experience the same thing with stress and anxiety. Sorry about that. And I can't believe I didn't turn my phone off. That's bad. Usually I'll get like a million phone calls. So let me know if you're on the same boat. I would love to hear from you. It's always nice to feel like you're not alone, right? That's why I'm here talking to you about that. And then secondly, if you know anyone who struggles with stress and anxiety, maybe even high blood pressure caused by these things, or any kind of condition caused by these things, please share this with them. Share this with them so that they could join me on this journey and maybe benefit from this study, this self-study kind of that I'm going to do. Okay. That's all for today. I love you guys. I will see you next week. I'm going to be talking about making fear your friend, right? We're going back into the Choosing You series and we're talking about fear being your friend. Okay, bye.